who wins, your heart or your mind? Part 1 of series Insights from Divorce Attorney. Your relationship is at the ultimate crossroads. It's definitely not going right, but yet, there are good things you continue to hold on to. How can you be sure that what you once believed to be right is now wrong? Many people logically figure out there's problems long before their heart catches up with their mind, and certainly before their heart detaches. After all, you can't simply tell your heart to stop ticking. Your heart has its own agenda, completely different and separate from your mind or logic. Which one is right? Which one should you listen to? You may be asking yourself, should I stay in this relationship holding on to what I wish the relationship was? Or do I cut my losses now before any more time, energy, and money are invested in a losing relationship? If this is you, it is in your best interests to give your heart time to catch up with your mind. Otherwise, when times get tough, either financially, emotionally, or both, you'll second-guess your decision. One thing is for sure, if you leave before your heart catches up with your logical reasoning, there will be repercussions. In either scenario, you won't have the closure you need to move on to a happy ever after. Do yourself a favor and take time to think it through carefully. I recently completed a divorce for a client that jumped too soon and found herself in a much worse scenario than if she had taken time to pre-plan and think through her course of action. She hadn't prepared or saved, and she was in a hurry to get it over with and sign anything. Despite my repeated advice to the contrary, she made a hasty decision to forego asking for her equitable portion of the family business, and she stated she trusted that her ex would take care of her if she got in a bind later. I held my tongue 18 months later from saying, "I told you so," or "Why didn't you listen?" when she called and asked if there was any way she could go back to court and ask for some financial assistance, or a different division of assets. I didn't have to say, "I told you so," or anything similar, because she was already saying, "Why didn't I listen?" and I could just kick myself for believing he would help me out. A hasty decision to leave can lead to 1. Your new relationships being adversely affected by an inability to connect intimately. This is an example of your heart remaining behind. Or 2. If your ex moves on to a new relationship, you find it hard to accept it, and you second-guess your decision. In such a case, your heart remained behind. Point 3. Support systems may not be in place for you, i.e., friends, relatives, and support groups in your church or community. This is an example of the mind not having time to think through the process clearly and set a sufficient game plan. A support system is necessary to help you through such a difficult period. Point 4. Financial arrangements may be non-existent. This happens when an impulse decision is made, devoid of logic. Here, the mind was not consulted before the heart decided to move on. Financial problems can increase the anxiety otherwise associated with the breakup. There have been numerous clients who didn't prepare for their separation from a logical viewpoint, and they decide to leave when their bank accounts were at their lowest and debts were at their highest. Sometimes they leave just prior to a company bonus being awarded to their spouse, or stock options maturing and being cashed in, or a year prior to marital options maturing. Remember, consider all things in advance of making such a huge decision. Guaranteed, if you do, it will be less painful and more trouble-free for you. Be careful of perceiving the grass to be greener on the other side. Too often, when the bloom is off the rose, you find the stem and basic root system are exactly like the relationship you had before. Sometimes even with more thorns. Very often we take the same problems into a new relationship. Or worse, we simply trade one set of problems for another. Never jump ship while the waves are thrashing against the side and there is turmoil. Doing so would most assuredly seal your fate. Instead, ride out the storm until things are calmer so that you can see the horizon, get your bearings, and chart your course clearly. Rule number 1, think and prepare. Before making any move. Part 2 series, The Unspoken Truths About Divorce.